Hello, I'm Marion County Commissioner Sam Brentano, and we're here today to meet some longtime employees with Marion County. Well, this is a program we call Marion County Today. I steal this line from my fellow commissioner, Janet Carlson. It's really going to be Marion County yesterday. And we have people that have up to 38 years with Marion County, still here, still liking it, and thought, what a wonderful opportunity to meet them, talk about the things they've seen at Marion County and where they're going and where they think the county's going, and to introduce the public to some pretty special people. So the first one, I've known through a mutual friend for a while, but probably don't know as well as I'd like to, and it's Dave Chemness. He's a public works project engineer. He's been with the county for 38 years. That's kind of one of the longest ones. You should have a service pin on you that recognizes.
Yeah, I'm not wearing my service pin today, but
it's one of the rare ones.
I've been told that I'm the longest tenured employee for Marion County at the present time.
It's the biggest one I've seen.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. Let's go back, since we're doing yesterday. Go back,
Sure.
Growing up, anything you think that might be interesting, and maybe how you came to Marion County.
Well, originally I wanted to be an architect, but my dad had a brother, my uncle, who was a civil engineer, and so I job shadowed him for a little bit and decided I wanted to go into civil engineering. So that's kind of how I got my career direction. But then, anyway, I got my Bachelor of Science degree in civil engineering from Chico State University in California, and graduated and moved right up here out of college.
You grew up where?
In the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
That it seems a little strange. And so what? Was there a job opened up?
There was a job opening.
Oh, I see.
I got it through my placement office at school.
Oh, wonderful.
And so I made the move up here.
So
didn't have any family here, but the job looked interesting.
So why don't you fill that gap in? What about family? What else have you done outside of work for 38 years?
Oh, probably, well, I have 7 kids.
Oh,
yep.
You are?
Yes. And I'm expecting my 21st grandchild here next month.
Oh, wonderful.
And my wife and I really do like kids. We do foster care as well. So we've been doing that since 2008 or 2007. And we've done 48 foster kids over that time.
Oh, goodness.
So we do ages 0 to 5.
I am taken back to do all those things and all those people. I had 5 kids. I'm not trying to, and it's nothing in comparison, but that was a handful. So I recognize what 7 means by a lot. So current position at Marion County, or let's just start out. Okay. Let's go from the beginning. So you come out of Chico and get this job, and you show up here, and you go where, you meet who, what happens?
Well, when I started, the job was in, our Public Works office was in the floor 2M of the county courthouse. And when I showed up for that first day, they sat me down at a desk and said, here's some design standards, and here's our policies, and here's what we do for permits, and showed me around the office. And then about 10 o'clock in the morning, my boss came to me and said, could you come with me to the back window of the office? And it overlooked Church Street, I think it is. And he pointed to a car down there and he said, is that your Chevy Blazer? And I said, yes. And he goes, that's parked in a space that shouldn't be parked in. And so you might want to go move it. And by the way, I'd advise you take the bus too. It'll help on parking downtown. But that was back in the day when where the current parking structure is, there was just surface parking.
And I assume it was some judge's spot or something?
Must have been, because I found out about it pretty quick.
And who was this first boss that you were working with? Do you recall?
That was Mr. Jerica.
Jerica.
Yeah. He was there for a couple of months and then he moved on.
So I can't do the math quite. You're somewhere around 75. Where are you at here for 38 years?
Age-wise?
No, what year are you showing up here with the county?
1977.
77?
Mm-hmm.
So land use planning is just being talked about, comes around the corner, and civil engineer, but you're not a planner. But did that involve you any? And there was so much had to change in those days.
Yeah. No, it was just getting started. It was the early beginnings of it. And so I did land use planning for about,
oh, you did?
Initially.
I thought
yes,
you'd
I
have
did.
to. Okay.
Yeah. Not the actual land use planning, but the engineering aspect of it. And so we would get applications for partitions, subdivisions, and I would review those for application to standards, impacts for drainage, things like that, and then write up comments, and then we'd go into a staff report and it'd become conditions of approval. So people would see me to get their partition signed off for meeting the standards and whatnot.
So each city, Dave, that came in with a comprehensive plan would have had to tie it in with the counties. Would you be involved in that in those days too? That wasn't
No,
particularly
no.
more an individual
Yeah,
lot
just
ownership.
case by case basis, but not the actual long range planning.
So what else happens in 38 years? One question I like to ask, and perhaps I asked you already, but
Okay.
so you come to work 38 years ago, fresh out of Chico, and how do you know, or what even do you even think you might be here for 38 years? Did you right away say, oh, this is just what I'm looking for? I love this town. Give me something I can build on here, Dave.
Well, no, I had no idea I would stay this long. I mean, my dad was in one of his jobs 16 years, and at the time I thought that was quite a long time. But, you know, the years just started adding up. But, you know, you kind of forget about the years piling up as you're enjoying what you're doing. One of the things I really enjoy about my job is the variety. I've been an inspector out in the field. That was at the suggestion of Bob Hansen, because a designer really needs to have that practical field experience to know what's going to work and what doesn't work. And so done a little bit of that, did capital projects, design, and also project management as a project engineer. So
For the county?
Yeah, for the
For
county.
example, the jail, were you involved with or anything?
no, I wasn't involved in the jail.
Garbage
but,
burner? Although
a little bit in the county dog shelter, on some of the work on that. So one of the things that I also liked about the counties, the way we have it set up in capital projects, is that we can take a project from inception to you know, kind of the cradle to the grave type concept. And so we'll get in on the front end, provide estimates and help with the grant writing, and then do the design once the grant's approved, and then we'll put together a construction contract, and then monitor the construction, have inspectors working for us and dealing with the contractor, approving payments and whatnot, and until we do the as-built plans and put the project to bed. So.
I'm hesitant to ask the questions going through my mind, but just like me to say what I think. So our courthouse square building, the county didn't take advantage of its own resources and have it looked at. Was that something that you would have liked to? Do you been involved with? Or
Well,
it's so dangerous because
yeah.
we've taken care of it, but I'm just curious what you thought at the time.
Yeah, I was certainly interested in it. It was a little bit out of my area of expertise,
Okay.
but I did have an interest in it.
So again, 38 years, is there any time, event, person that, if we have a couple of minutes left, you'd like to help us remember? And
Well, there's been a couple of fun things I've been involved in. I was the chair of the Bicycle Advisory Committee. That was for the Technical Advisory Committee to the Mid-Willamette Council of Governments. And that was an enjoyable experience heading that up. We also had our food drive here, annual canned food drive, over a number of years. And one year, Sue McCracken, she sent out an email wanting to solicit interest in building a CAN structure. There's an organization called Construction that involves architects, engineers, and those type of people that have competitions. And so we put together a project replicating our covered bridge here in Marion County. And we did win the most creative use of labels for that competition, but that was a very fun experience.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was supposed to make sure it's in there. I think they're going to show a picture of that as they come in. And any one particular person, kind of time's winding up, and anybody that mattered to you a whole bunch, mentor, friend? What?
Well, I think Bob Hansen was,
Bob Hansen.
yeah, he was a good mentor. Getting my civil engineering degree was one milestone, but also getting my professional engineer's license was another milestone.
And he helped spur you to that somehow?
Yeah, he said, you know, you have enough time in, it's, you might want to see about taking your test and getting your license. And so
good.
I was able to pass that on the first try back in '83.
I'm going to have to wind it up, but it's
Okay.
I think we could talk for a long time.
Sure.
You've seen a lot, and thank you for being with Marion County coming in today, and thank you for all the special things, especially the foster kids.
Sure.
That means a lot.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Well, we're back to meet another long-time and special Marion County employee. This person is Mary Thorpe. She's senior assessment clerk with 35 years. Dave, just before, might be the record at 38, but 35 is a long time. So, Mary, welcome. And could you fill us out about where you grew up and school, et cetera, and how you get to Marion County? Let's start out there.
Okay. Born and raised in Oregon. I grew up in St. Helens. Went to school in Corvallis for a little while at Oregon State, and didn't quite finish my training there. And my sister lived in Salem, so I moved in with her. And in trying to find a job to gain experience, Marion County had some openings in February of 1980. That's when I started. So, been here since.
So
been
what-
in Salem that whole time.
I don't quite, well, you're gonna have to explain what assessment clerk does, but even, so were there particular qualifications needed, or it just?
At the time I started, it was just a regular clerical.
Clerical.
Yeah, they had no regular title for it. It was more like a file type clerk, and that's what I did my first day on the job, was learning the filing system and doing filing. And yeah, it's
Well, I might as well
changed a
stop
bit.
you there, because I like to know, and I probably asked you this before too, but so how did you know, or did you think that you might be 35 years right here and think this is?
Never in a million years did I think I would be here 35 years.
Now you're supposed to quickly answer, but I'm
But-
so glad I did. But
I am at this
Oh.
point. I'm very glad to be here. I'm very happy with my job. I'm comfortable with it. I like feeling like I'm making a difference for Marion County and the people that live here. So.
well, let's continue on kind of your history. So you take this job, and you're where, and who are the people there, and do you even remember issues or anything that came up?
When I was hired on in 1980, I was hired on under Just a Care, and actually when I interviewed, my only interview I had was with him as assessor, and he hired me on. I was hired under a CETA program, which was partially funded by the federal government, and very shortly after I was hired in 1980, the county went through some massive layoffs due to financial crisis.
Yes, it was a bad time.
And the only reason I survived those layoffs in our office, because the only people they kept on were managers other than me, is I had the CETA position, which had partial federal funds, so I was allowed to stay working too. So those were some interesting days with very limited staff, and it makes you a very tight group. You've got a lot to do and very limited personnel to do it with, but it was good. It kind of brings people together, and we did a lot of our work. We started the mainframe with computer assisted appraisal was after I started there with the county city organization, and of course that's changed dramatically over the
Right,
years
but that,
too.
just when computers started showing up in businesses, I could relate to what you'd be going through. It's a whole new world, and first you have to get it to work, and then you have to figure out how to run it, and then it breaks down. Don't you love that?
Yeah. They were actually, when I started, there wasn't much computer input at all. They were doing data card entry, and only a couple people did that, and the rest of us, it was manual, handwritten, and typewriters. There really wasn't computers. You didn't see computers around the office like you do these days.
So just so I, maybe sort of assessment clerk, you would what? People, appraisers would bring stuff in? What's a particular job? Let's go over that.
Yeah, I work in the residential section, and the appraisers do their field work, and when the field work comes in, it comes into the clerks for data entry, and it's anything from the appraisal cards that they do out in the field, work orders that they process that the map room starts, and then they do the valuing on the work orders, new subdivisions that are created, and then we do all the data entry, and we review our data entry to make sure it's accurate. And there's a lot.
In those days where you're working, especially with council of government, seemed like they had people doing, I think, GIS stuff.
We had one
Sounds like it should have been
couple
program related.
GIS people in our office, but I didn't.
That isn't your
I
really
didn't do
concern.
any of that. No.
And would you probably don't normally deal with the public from your position, do you? Or
No.
you're wrong?
No, not where I'm at right now. I have probably less interaction than most clerical staff in the office, but I have worked in the mobile home section in the past, and in fact, back a few years ago, I did go through the appraiser trainee program, and I was in the mobile home sections at that point in time, and so you have a lot of public contact between being in the office and being out in the field. And I enjoyed it when I was doing the training part of working with the manufactured structures.
Oh.
But going into residential, I found that my personality probably wasn't suited for field work, and I ended up in tears with a little gentleman at a house, and I think that's about the time I decided I would stay inside and do
I'm
clerical
making
work.
a story up. He said, "Oh, you certainly can't be thinking you could charge all that." And
But there's some
oh,
very unhappy people when you come out to assess their property. Yeah.
perhaps even
and
sad.
it's Yes, You see all sorts of people in all sorts of different situations when you're out in the field. Absolutely.
I better get back on task. So, okay, tell us all the places tell me people you work for and places that your office has been, and anything special, especially people in these 35 years that you want to remember.
I started under Just Care, and the next assessor was Ed Hill, who is a friend. And after Ed Hill, there was Doug Ebner. And after Doug Ebner, there was Sue Thompson for an interim assessor, and then Richard Kreitzer and Sean Beaton, and now Tom Rolfing, who's a very good assessor too.
I know some of those, but I didn't realize it turned over quite a bit, didn't it?
It
for a
has
period,
more,
so-
yeah. Before that, the assessor had been a pretty steady figure in for quite a long length of time. Doug was in quite a while too, but there was a lot of turnover there for a while, yes. And there were a lot of people within the office running against each other, and that always makes things very interesting climate-wise. For
So now
people in the office.
locations, you told me, Franklin Building, but go ahead and take us from
Yeah,
there.
I actually, when I started, it was the courthouse.
Oh, it was the courthouse,
First
okay.
floor of the courthouse. We were in the bottom corner in there. And then we were moved to the Franklin Building, which those of us who worked there really loved it. You had, we were on multiple floors. It was a neat old building. You could open your windows to get air in when you
Oh,
needed
isn't that
to.
nice?
Back in those days, that was wonderful. And then we moved to Courthouse Square. And when it was under renovations, that we got moved to the building on the corner of Market and Commercial. And now we're back in Courthouse Square, and I'm hoping I don't have to move again.
Building on the corner of
Market and
maps.
Commercial, down by right in front of the cannery.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And I don't know what they call that building, but
We
we
had
were
our
there.
board
for-
meetings. I forget
Yeah,
this.
yeah, you did.
Went in there once a week. So
And
we're kind of
people-
running out of time already, but people, give
Yeah.
me somebody. Give me some characters you've met and any special event that jumps at you in this last minute or so.
I've made some very good friends in the office over my time there, very good people. Part of my best memories have been some of the fundraisers we've had in our office in the past for both the Canned Food Drive and United Way, and I've been chairing our office for United Way a number of years.
Thank you.
And the competition and the camaraderie that can combine from having fundraisers and competitions in these fundraisers can just be, it's amazing. Our management staff that we used to have in our office got so behind some of these fundraising projects for these wonderful items. And I can remember one time we had apple bobbing was one of our competitions, and they took this very seriously. And I can remember our chief deputy assessor coming in a scuba outfit
Oh.
to bob for apples. So that definitely sticks with my mind. And they also actually made a gold belt like they do for boxing that had an apple on it with a bite out of it, and that was the prize you won if you won the bobbing contest in our office. So, and those all went towards the fundraisers for Marion Food Share or for United Way, and those are definitely some of my best memories.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, it's such a great opportunity to meet you and get to know you better. 35 years is a long time. I'm glad you're. Oh, I don't know if I can ask this. You're going to be here forever?
No.
No. Oh, please don't
No.
say that.
No, I'm enjoying working right now. I enjoy working under Tom Rolfing. He's been good for me. I do enjoy working for the county, and I will be here a little longer.
I hope so. Mary, we're out of time, but thank you. And
Thank
thanks for
you.
all the time.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Janet Carlson, Marion County Commissioner, and we are back with Marion County today with our third guest, Rick Sherman, who is an environmental health program supervisor at Marion County and has been there for 35 years. So what year did you join Marion County?
1981.
Wow, okay. And so tell me, what did you do before you came to Marion County?
Before Marion County, I had just gotten out of college from Oregon State and had gotten a job with Lincoln County Health Department, being a environmental health specialist. Came to the realization that I didn't like the coast real fast. So as soon as the position opened up here, I applied for it, and luckily I had the supervisor that I worked under up at Clackamas as an intern was good friends with the supervisor here and gave me a good recommendation, and then I was here.
So what is environmental health? What do people do that work with you and for you?
Yeah, what most people think of is a health inspector. We inspect restaurants, hotels, public pools and spas, drinking water systems. And in the days when I first started, we'd had a full rodent and mosquito control program. So like 1/3 of my year was spent dealing with mosquitoes and rats and garbage complaints throughout the county.
Wow. So did you start out at the health department building out on Center Street?
Yep, Center Street, and then after a while we moved to Front Street, came back to Center Street, and now we're back to Front Street. So,
Aha. So you've moved a couple times then, at least more than a couple times
Yeah.
too. So what keeps you at Marion County for 35 years?
I think mainly because I enjoy public health overall. Marion County has given me a lot of support over the years. I think the other thing that really helped is I grew up in Marion County, so I feel really at home, and I know the county, I believe, pretty well. So I think that's a lot of it.
And you sounds like you didn't have family here when you moved here
Yeah.
from Lincoln County?
Yeah. Well, I only worked in Lincoln County for about 3 months.
Oh, so you did have family
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Okay, so you have roots here in the Salem
Yes.
area anyway.
Yeah.
And so you have your own family now? Or?
I'm married with my wife, and she's living in Sacramento right now, trying to sell her old house and move up here. I've been married now for, well, a little over a year and a half.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So probably when people think about environmental health, of the list you gave, restaurant inspections are perhaps the most prominent. So what changes have you seen in the restaurant inspection field over the years as you've been here?
The restaurant inspections have went from being with the old ABC grading system to a complied or does not comply. The other thing is the early parts of our inspections, the early years, we were as worried about construction issues and that type of stuff. Nowadays, with the FDA and Oregon Health Authority, the rules have changed to being what they call risk type, high risk activities. So you look for more temperature violations, rodents, improper hand washing, cross-contamination of foods.
So I think those inspections came out today in the paper, right? Or they come out on
Yeah,
Wednesdays,
they
right?
do.
Every Wednesday in Statesman Journal, I always read the restaurant inspections. So people are more interested in that now, aren't they, than they were before?
I think, I think they are. I think it also helped that by putting it in the paper, it brought to their attention to do that. I mean, we get a lot of complaints about some restaurants. We get a lot of questions where the public calls. We've become a resource center, I'd like to think, to a lot of the public, not just about restaurants, but in food handling in general for their own families and stuff.
So is the way that you do your work different since it was in the 1980s? I mean, with the other guests have talked about the advent of computers and technology. What's changed for you in terms of how you do your work?
I think, like everyone else, the computers and laptops have come into the inspection process, but a lot of just the basic public health and the knowledge of food safety is still the same. It's just you have to spend more time trying to mess with computers and printers, and that can be quite intimidating after a while.
Do your inspectors use technology when they're out on the job at all?
Yeah, they all have laptops. The next phase will probably turn into using iPads or some form of tablet. That's what we're being told is the next generation.
So I've always wondered too, are there kind of little boxes that, because when you get the score, you know, like the score's 100 or 97 or whatever, and then there's point deductions, but then there's these things underneath that said they don't clean things as often as they should, and then there's like the shelves have buildup or whatever. So is that like a checkbox, and
It's
then
a
they type some things
checkbox,
in?
and then you add whatever you need, like which refrigerator is out of temperature, or if you saw roaches or rodents and where you saw them and what have you.
So how does that relate to the old ABC then? Does it have any relationship at all?
No, they've
Totally different system.
Yeah, the used to be below 70, you would get what we called a C grade, and nowadays, as long as you're 70 and above, you're complied. And there was another rating system or two in between the first one and the one we presently have. The state seems to change its scoring system every so often.
I see. Okay. So any memorable events over the years? What are some of the things, what things stand out to you in your years at the health department?
I think some of the times when I've dealt with possibly rabid animals like bats that caused me to have to go through rabies prophylaxis. Finding some very startling things in restaurants, walking through.
So what startling things are we talking about?
Toilet paper going past the salad bar.
Okay, that'd be a bad one.
Because the toilets were overflowing.
Oh, that's bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Things
Did
like
they
that.
shut that restaurant down?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The hard thing was they didn't understand why we would shut them down. But,
What? Why?
yes. So it was interesting, and there was a lot of things with like I said, bats were a common thing. We've had baboon bites that we followed up on, and a lot of different things like that.
So do you interface with the public quite a bit in your job?
Oh yeah, I still do. Not as much maybe as when I was out in the field every day, but I get a lot of people who call who have questions, and when my staff's out in the field, I'm the person that they transfer the phone calls to.
Very good. So I'll ask the question Sam asked, did you expect when you started back in the early 80s that you were going to be here 35 years?
I won't say I expected 35, but I think I'm from a family where you tend to stay at one job for quite a while, and so after about 20 years, you just become it becomes part of your system, I think.
Do you like working for the health department? Good place to work?
Yes, I do like the health department. I like public health, and I think we actually do a lot of good out there.
And the first day on the job, what do you remember about that?
Coming in, having my supervisor drop these binders full of rules on top of my desk. He says, and you need to know these, he says, soon, because he says, we're short-staffed. It was right after the massive layoffs back in the 80s, and we had finally got a position back, and he says, you got a lot of work to do, and plan on doing it fast and well. So.
That's funny because I worked for the state and they did the very same thing. It's like, read this policy book. So just not to digress too much, but what do you do for people the first day on the job? The very same thing? Do you hand them a manual and say, here, read this? Or do you do something different now
No,
based on your experience?
actually the first week I don't see this new staff much because there's orientation for both the health department and the county. And I try to set up a schedule with my other staff to take them out on every day so that they get an idea of what's going on in there, and I think they do a pretty good job on that respect now. It's a lot less sink or swim like when I started.
Very good. Well, it's been an honor to be able to interview you. Thank you so much for your service to Marion County.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank you for watching Marion County today. We've had the chance to interview 3 longtime employees from Marion County. I calculated it, I think, between the 3 of them, it's 108 years of service to Marion County. It's pretty amazing. I think from this you can tell that we have wonderful people that work at Marion County. We have a lot of employees that work for a number of years. It's always an honor when myself and my fellow commissioners are able to present service awards to our employees and to honor them for the work that they do. It's been our pleasure to present this show to you today. And if any of you are out there and interested in checking out Marion County, go to our website, which you'll see at the end of this program.